welcome back. It is Chris Niccolls here, and I'm joined by...
Jaron Schneider.
And your buddy Jordan Drake, the tall one.
Every time. Anyways, we got a bit of a different podcast today. It's going to be a little bit shorter.
Have to bleep that.
But we do have a unique experience. So we're in San Jose. We're at the launch party for the Samsung S24 series of phones. We do have a special guest. We're going to talk to Blake Geiser from Samsung. Will hopefully give us all the
scoop,
all the secret answers.
The straight poop, as they say.
I don't think they say
Nobody ever says it. Let's get to our video. I'm sorry. Okay, so as usual, before we get to our special guest and talk more about this phone, let's thank our sponsors here, OM System. We always appreciate the support of the podcast. Once again, we would like to thank them because every journey is a story waiting to be told, and 1,000 little moments hidden behind a beginning and an end. There's no better way to tell your story than with the OM System OM5, which we love.
Yeah,
absolutely compact little camera. But good savings. You bundle your savings today, save $550 when you buy the OM5 body with a 14-150 f4.0-5.6 version 2 lens. It's a great little travel lens.
Absolutely.
First style. Normally $1849.99. This incredible kit is now only $1299.98. At 98, you'd save
one extra dollar.
It's a penny.
Honestly, not a huge investment for like a
body and lens.
Yeah, very body and lens together. Yeah.
They have Canadian stuff on this, which I found incredibly compelling. Oh my!
But as usual, you do have to hurry. This offer is only on until January 28th, 2024. So yeah, you have to get on it right away. For the Canadians out there, and I know there's 3 or 4 of you at least that watch our show, you can get the OM5 body with the exact same kit lens and save $650 Canadian. So normally it's $25.49. $98, now $18.99.
This is a huge show of like cultural sensitivity, including Canadians in the ad read. This is the first time that this has happened. I'm very excited.
Okay. Anyways, visit explore.
I think I'm doing great today.
/PetaPixel. Have you been drinking? Right? Jeez.
Again, that URL is explore.omsystem.com/PetaPixel.
And once again, we'd like to apologize for this ad read.
We'd like to apologize for Jordan Drake, who's had 1 beer today, and this is what happened.
Okay, so I guess we'll get into our interview with Blake.
Absolutely.
We'll hear it.
And again, I think it's important. Of course, we've got 3 phones, right? I mean, there's the S24 Ultra, the S24 Plus, the S24. We're really going to be focusing on the Ultra because as photographers and videographers, we want to see the best in this.
So much of the emphasis is for photo, video there. If you're really interested in that, I think it's a no-brainer. That's the phone to get. So we're going to focus on that a lot throughout this.
And again, remember, we've got the podcast. We also have our first impressions video. You should definitely check that out if you haven't already.
It's online now.
It is online right now. And we are going to be doing a full review on this phone in the next few days. So just stay tuned and you'll know everything you know about the smartphone. But
I believe we're going to Napa, which means I'll be even more coherent than I was today.
Who's very excited? It's just a very pretty landscape, but there's other stuff in Napa.
I should just
remember you're supposed to spit the wine out into the bucket. Please do that.
I should just talk less and we should bring Blake.
Okay, let's get Blake. So Blake, thank you so much for joining us and being a guest on our podcast. Tell us, why are you in this chair with us here? What do you do for Samsung?
Yeah, so I'm Blake Geiser. I'm the Director of Smartphone Product Management for Samsung Electronics America. And, you know, I'm the product guy. So I work with these devices many months out and do what I can to bring the best to Samsung customers.
Nice. So you're the one who's going to tell us all the secrets and give us all the inside information that we need to know?
The skinny.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Well, you know, why don't we start with... what is different on the S24 Ultra versus the S23 Ultra?
Yeah, and then why does that matter? Like, why would someone get excited about that?
You know, very rarely in this industry, you get like generational leaps in technology. You know, we work very hard to continue to make our phones better and better each year. You know, we started with dumb phones, then became the era of the smartphone where you could start connecting to the internet. Then you had really the camera playing a big part of that mobile camera. And, you know, now we're jumping into this world of AI. And so with the S24 series, we've brought in all of these strong, really cool, really easy, intuitive tools utilizing AI that we call the Galaxy AI that just fundamentally kind of changes how you're going to interact with your phone and what your phone can do for you.
Nice. So hardware-wise, what is the same from the 23? What's changed? I mean, our focus is really on photography, so tell us about the lenses.
So about the lenses, on our base model and our plus model, we have not made any hardware changes. We made substantial software changes that we'll probably get into here. But with the S24, what's really, really exciting is we have upgraded our previous 10x 10 megapixel lens to a 5x 50 megapixel high resolution lens. And that's really allowed us to do a heck of a lot more, whereas we're able to provide better pictures from 1, 3, 5, and 10x all together, utilizing that 5x 50 megapixel lens.
So why do that change? I mean, the S23 Ultra had a 10 times lens. Why go with this new lens design? What was the thinking behind that?
We really start with listening to our customers. And what we were finding is that the most likely zooms that our customers were using were 3x and 5x. So let's give that 5x an absolutely killer experience. But with that 5x 50 megapixel lens, we're able to provide that 10x 10 megapixel optical quality picture utilizing that lens. So you're really not going without on that 10x zoom. You're getting a lot more with that 5x.
And so if somebody wants to go well beyond that, what kind of solutions does the S24 Ultra offer there?
Well, with the Ultra, we're now, still getting that 100, x space zoom, but is utilizing the 5x 50 megapixel lens. And on top of that, what's really built in, we have what we call the Pro Visual Engine. And what that engine is it's all the different things that this device is utilizing AI for to just make your life easier as a photographer. And so what we've done on the S23 series, we had what we called cognitive recognition on that front lens, which meant it was knowing what it was taking a picture of. Is this a human? Is this a building? Is this a landscape? And it was able to adjust the settings naturally to give you more clear, clarity, contrast, brightness, better color tonality. And we've now done that with our rear lens. So, take that where it recognizes what it's looking at, it's able to adjust the settings, and then it's able to get you that 100x lens, that 100x space zoom that I can tell you, in my experience, I was got to go to a Messi game, if any soccer fans here, and David Beckham and Victoria were all across the
You caught them doing something compromising?
Well, everyone's out there looking, trying to zoom in and see them, and I pull out my phone, 100x space zoom, and I literally had people say, "Hey, can you send me that?" I'm like, "I don't know who you are." Yeah, let's
yeah, this is still embargoed, actually. So absolutely not.
Please don't mention what phone I'm using.
So you can go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just curious. So you've got this super high resolution main camera and the telephoto. Are they working in conjunction in order to build those high res things? Like, is it using a little bit of the offset, wider lens to fill in some of the gaps when you're doing that digital interpolation, or is it all just coming from that 5 times lens?
It's working with multiple lenses to be able to understand what it is looking at, understand distances. So that way, when you're using that 5x zoom, it recognizes, those images that are further back to what's closer to it, and really allowing it to give you that really sharp contrast.
Right. And build a depth map and stuff. Okay. Gotcha.
So, lenses are one part of the equation. Of course, the sensor is the other. So we've got the same sensor on the ultra wide and the main camera, brand new sensor on this 5 times telephoto. What are we getting as far as resolution goes with RAW files, with regular files throughout those cameras for the most part?
And so, you're getting the 200 megapixels, you're getting 50 megapixels, you're getting 12 megapixels. On RAW, you're able to get your 12 megapixels, 24 megapixels, and 50 megapixels with RAW.
So why not 200 megapixels?
Yeah, and I was actually going to ask, is there a specific reason that you can think of, or that you can tell us why
you utilizes a ton of storage at that? And so, as we're looking, it's all about making the perfect trade-off, to provide the best experience that you can. And that is just one that we had to make a smart decision as to what.
So it's not that it can, it's just like a 200 megapixel RAW on the smart.
It is going to be what, like 500, like half a gig.
So if I sit there and I just like fire off a few,
that just makes your customers like upgrade the storage though.
Yeah,
get more money.
It's been a while since I've used a Samsung device. Last time I did, you could increase the storage. Is that an option anymore? Can you put like a micro SD card in there like you used to be able to?
No, we don't have a micro SD card, and you guys are going to get me in trouble for that one. But what we have done is we worked really hard on increasing the base storage in our devices. So we increased the base storage on our Plus and our Ultra, over the years, starting at 256 to 512. And then with Ultra, you can get all the way up to a terabyte.
Okay. Right. And it's like, to be fair, like I don't think anyone does the SD card.
What we see is that people live up to whatever storage they have. So if they came from 128, if they were using 70% of their storage and they go up to 512, they're going to use 70% of their storage. It's a really kind of unique dynamic that we're seeing. But having that higher storage really helps people be kind of more confident with their device because they're not worried about running out of storage.
So I've got a question that's unrelated to storage. So in the last year and a half, the idea of AI has been like all over the place. And on PetaPixel, we have covered it extensively from like the very first time we saw a usable image come out of an AI image generator all the way to where we're at now, where it's just like you can make stuff that you can't necessarily tell it's not a real picture anymore. So our audience has seen AI grow a lot, and they are probably, some of them are tired of the word AI, and they hear that and they like shut down or whatever. So like, how can you describe what Samsung's doing here to be in a way that's actually helpful and like something they should really be paying attention to as photographers? Like, don't ignore this because X reason.
Yeah, we don't really call out AI on the device because what success looks like for us is a collection of tools that are easy to use, and frankly, most of the time you don't care if you're using it or not, as long as it's working kind of seamlessly with you.
Okay, so you're saying that those things are just there. They happen to be there. Yes, they're powered by AI, but the words AI or Galaxy AI are not thrown at me constantly.
No, I mean, the one thing we do is with those generative photos, we will put a small watermark. We have this iconography of these stars above us. Sure. And so on the bottom left of generatively edited photos, we'll put a watermark down so that you're aware and, the people you're sharing it are aware that it is, generative edit.
That's stuck there?
That's stuck there, and it's also built into the metadata.
Oh, well, that's nice.
What's really interesting, too, is watching the press launch. You also advertised, people can opt out if they're not comfortable with that. So if they don't want to be part of the database, if they don't want AI from other people's photos of
their photos training AI.
Yeah, if they don't want to have to go onto a cloud service to get the generative fill stuff, they don't have to. Like, what kind of stuff are you going to miss out on?
Yeah, like
if you don't log in.
Why would I want to? Why do I want that?
Yeah, it's important because AI, we've heard a lot about it, but it's still really new, and it's new to a lot of people, and some people are super excited, some less so. And so we really wanted to provide that opportunity where you had control of how your data is being used. Yeah. So there's on-device AI and there's cloud-based AI. On-device AI, fantastic, some great tools on there, especially for photography. You take a picture and you go and look at that picture. Our on-device AI will pop up the 3 most likely things that you might want to do to edit that picture. So whether it's like remove shadows or remove reflections or change, black and white photo and add color to it. There's a slew of different tools that are on-device AI, which are locked down by Samsung Knox, which is, our military-grade, security platform. You can also go into the settings, and you can choose in advanced settings. It's called advanced intelligence. You can choose to turn off those AI things that you don't want to use, and you can go down and you can turn on a setting that only allows you to have on-device AI.
Gotcha.
And so, you'll, with those cloud-based services, you'll get better generative edited, photos because it takes a very large language module to build those. But if you're just not comfortable with that, even though everything is moving with end-to-end encryption, you can choose to have everything stored on device, locked down by Knox.
And so I guess to elaborate on that as well, because I know some people are like, oh, I've got pictures of my family, I got pictures of my kids and stuff. I don't want any of that anywhere that I don't have control over it. So if you opt out of that cloud-based, is it not just that you're opting out of utilizing the cloud, but also that your photos don't become part of that database?
Correct.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
But on device, the other thing you mentioned when we were talking before this was you can still train it on device. It still learns from you, even if it's not on the cloud. Is that right?
As you're taking photos, your style, as you're fixing those photos up, that system is learning about how you like your photos to do, and helping just make that just seamless. You're learning as you go, and it's all locked down.
So while I might not notice it as it's happening, if I thought back to like the first time I edited a photo on the phone and then 8 months later I do it again, if I think about it, the experience should be pretty different, or
it should have improved over that time.
Specific to what I like.
And our goal is that you don't notice it.
Right.
It
should be really gradual.
That you seamlessly get used to.
But like if I take your phone and I start editing a picture on your phone, and it's obviously going to be different than mine, would I see that? Would I start like, oh, that's interesting, I don't get this suggestion on my phone?
Well, you're not getting my phone. Likely, yes.
Oh, very cool.
So that's kind of the cool balancing act that I really wanted to talk to you about, because we saw kind of two different subjects during that initial presentation, which is like we're utilizing, all the information from all our Samsung users to constantly improve, how it's recommending things to you, but also that it's tailoring it to, your own, how you edit your photos, how you crop them, the formats that you're doing. How do you find a balancing act there? Because my big concern when it's looking at what everyone is doing and recommending those settings is theoretically over time, everyone's photos would start to look more and more similar if they don't put a lot of effort into it. How do you find the balancing act there?
It comes down to just giving control, to our customers as to, what's being used and how it's being used. And so, we pride ourselves on that ability and letting you be as uniquely you as you want to be.
Right. So for Christmas, Jordan got himself like an Ultra HD player. He's very excited about it. Right? HDR, Ultra 4K HDR.
You described it very poorly.
I don't want to correct you, but God.
Look, I'm happy with VHS quality. Okay, I'm old. I don't care. I'll watch something 320 by 240 because, I'm not picky. But
and your RCA tube TV does great with that.
Don't forget this guy reviews cameras. Continue.
The three cables. Just give me red, white, and yellow video cables. I'm happy. But Jordan's very picky about it. So Samsung's always made great displays. Can you tell us that HDR photography is a big deal now, right? And phones, I feel, they're leading that far more than traditional cameras, even mirrorless cameras.
Huge amounts.
So what have you guys done in terms of HDR to please even this guy?
Yeah, so we've taken some good steps with the S24 series. We have what we call a Unihel Plus, which is our hardware accelerator, and our ProVisual engine. So traditionally you would have to take a HDR, super HDR picture and then preview it to understand, how the color really kind of came out.
Yeah.
Now it's doing it in real time. So as you're previewing it, you're getting that display before you take the photo. So you're able to take that photo. It's able to recognize, where you have darker spots, where you have lighter spots, and to really bring out truer color to that.
Yeah.
While you're looking at it. So it's not like take a photo
and then suddenly your highlights come back and it's yeah.
And so you're doing it real time. And so, you have HDR, our super HDR from preview to in your gallery all the way through posting on social media. So we really worked, hard with our social media partners, specifically Instagram, but providing them the ability to utilize the hardware when you're in app. So traditionally, you wouldn't be able to utilize things like your optical image stabilization, your laser focus as those were hardware. This now allows you to utilize those when you're on Instagram taking those photos.
Now, are you using some sort of proprietary HDR standard, or what standard are you guys using for your photos?
That is a great question that I'm going to need to get back to you guys.
Yeah. Okay, well, on that note, if we're still going to talk HDR, because he doesn't look at HDR pictures on his HD player, as you called it. His
It's going to start happening soon. I'm just going to make it'll be like an old click through the slideshow, except I'm showing
with his HDR player, his Ultra 4K HDR player, he has an HDR display.
Yeah.
Okay, but he's going to watch movies. That's what I thought you were going with that. So I'm asking now, in video, are there HDR features? And talk to me about that HDR?
Yeah, we have HDR10 on our videos.
Perfect.
So you're, getting that HDR experience, and then utilizing that 5x 50 megapixel, you can not only take that 4K video that you're looking for at 60 FPS, you can also take it at 120 FPS.
Yeah.
So that's one of the, unique things about Samsung is that you can shoot in 8K and then watch it in 8K. On that UHD, you can, when you're taking video specifically, you can, at UHD 60 FPS, you can jump between every single lens. So you can go the macro view, look at everything, then zoom in. I videotape my son playing soccer all the time. So there are times where he's closer by. I'm able to just open up, see him, and then he's getting further away. I can go into that 5x.
Without having to stop.
Without having to stop it.
I actually have a question on this because we saw another manufacturer who made a phone where we could zoom through the lenses, and they were talking about how that was kind of a cool feature. But as we zoomed to the point where we would move to another lens, it would kind of go as it moved because
it's parallax. It's a physically different location.
So, you can't actually smoothly zoom from widest to tightest. Is that possible on a Samsung device?
I don't know who you're talking about, nor do I care too much. But what I can tell you is, in my experience utilizing it, it is almost instantaneous. So I'm going from 1x, I can click on 5x, boom, there's my 5x.
Yeah.
I can click on.
Yeah, it's jumping between them instead of trying to smoothly blend them, which again doesn't work because those lenses are in physically different space.
If anything, it looks more like how you would edit your video, right? You would go from one clip to a different angle, just like that, instantaneously.
The other big thing on video that I really wanted to touch on is it building frames. So you can shoot regular speed and convert that into slow motion in real time.
Yeah, that was cool. The interface looked really easy.
Chris and I were really dating ourselves because we were talking about, like, there was software back in the day before cameras could shoot good slow-mo, things like Twixtor, where it would try and build those. And it took weeks for it to actually render it out.
That might be an exaggeration, but it was a long time.
It was a long render process. And then it was very dependent. Like, you needed a lot of light, shoot it at fast shutter speed. So you got clean edges so it could build things. So yeah, what we were seeing there is in real time, you're holding the phone and you're seeing the slow motion effect instantly, which is really cool.
And Blake, before you answer, just to clarify as well, that's an AI feature that's based in the phone, not cloud-based.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
So, how many times do you really find yourself in a moment where you're like, I need to do slow-mo? I harken back to my son. I think the only I think the only time I've ever done it was when I went golfing with my son for the first time, because he's going to hit the ball and you can set it up and do that.
Yeah.
So you don't know necessarily when you want that instant slow-mo. So here you're able to record at that UHD 60 FPS just as normal. And then when you're watching that, where you want to slow down and get instant, that instant slow-mo, you just, long press on the screen as long as you want that instant slow-mo, and then you take your finger off. When you go into edit right after there, it will actually show you exactly where you had that instant slow-mo in there. So you don't have to go in and refine what it is that you're looking for.
But you can still adjust the in and out point if you want.
Shorter. So if you miss the beginning or, you miss the end a little bit, you can adjust where that is. And it's interloping frames. So if you have frame A and frame B, it's looking at where that movement happened and adding frames in between.
And it'll work 30 frame per second video as well if you're doing
30 FPS, 60 FPS. It does not yet work on 8K.
Right. See, that's really nice though, because so often if you want to do like speed ramping stuff, you're shooting your whole video at a much faster frame rate, faster shutter speeds. Creatively, we don't like to do that. So it's nice to have the option like shoot at a proper frame rate, 30 or so, and then have proper shutter speeds in, but be able to do that slow-mo without it.
I just kind of like it because I'm in that same boat. There are times where it's like, man, I wish I shot that in slow-mo. I can't make that happen again. Those are just like moments that are gone forever. And I have them captured. And I was like, man, visually it would be cool if, but now that you're saying that I can do that, which is sort of neat. Because I agree with you, like before trying to build frames out of nothing using someone's software was just...
Oh, it looked terrible.
Or you can do it at different speeds too. So when you go into the edit, you can do it at a quarter speed or an eighth speed. Or
I saw even faster as well. So if you do want to speed things up a little bit, and we can finally do the silent films that we've all been striving to do, we can get that effect as well.
On a smartphone of all things. Fantastic.
Before I stop talking about video, because we're already on the subject as well, I was really interested. You mentioned much improved stability on the wide angle. So I know that we're using gyro data. Is that where that's coming from? Or is there something physically different as well that's giving us that improved stability?
Yeah, we've nearly doubled our optical image stabilization. Pair that with the gyro sensor. So the phone knows if you're moving or your subject is moving, and it's able to take your movement out utilizing that wider OIS and give you a much smoother video, which also helps, quite a bit in low light as well.
Right, for photography.
Any kind of movement that you have there within is, harder to do, but the pixels are much larger, specifically on that 5x 50 megapixel.
Oh, okay.
So you can get zoomed nightography photos better with the OIS, the larger pixels.
So then, what new frame rates have we unlocked here as far as resolution frame rates go for video, if anything?
The UHD adding the 120 FPS to it.
Okay, that is new on the S24 Ultra.
Correct.
The one
in Video Pro.
Right.
So,
okay.
Pro Video.
Gotcha.
You won't see it on just your normal video setting, but if you go into Pro Video, you'll find it there.
Gotcha. The one thing I didn't hear any mention of is the portrait mode or the video portrait mode. There wasn't really any mention of that. With the new processor, are we seeing improvements to that this year?
We're seeing improvements, all over the map with that Pro Visual engine that we're doing. So, also seeing those increases in quality on the portrait mode as well. Not to mention, the cognitive AI really, stepping in there to give you much more contrast, understand what it's looking at, and to give you a better outcome in that photo.
We're going to test the hell out of that. I hope you know, Blake, because, there's those other companies that don't exist. And, they all have a different kind of look to their portrait mode. I know in the S23, the portrait mode sometimes looked a little bit, needed some work. Please don't be mad at me. But we're eager to test it out here on the S24 Ultra and see what that's like, especially with the 5x zoom.
Nothing is perfect. Everything can always be improved, Chris. Everyone from every company can always improve. That's how I think of things.
I'm pretty good.
All right. Well, do we have any other questions on video, or do we want to move on to any of the other stuff we've got on this list?
Yeah, so I guess the other question is, can you get us all Samsung NX1s? Do you have
were you around?
Vintage Samsung NX1 cameras in a warehouse?
So I knew you guys were going to ask that question. This is a true story. I sent the request out to my friends in Korea, and they responded back with LOL.
Okay. What does that mean? It's that's funny that they'd ask, but that's where we're just going to end it.
That is as far as that conversation went.
Because we've been were you around?
I was not. I've only been with Samsung for about a year and a half.
Okay, so way back when they had these, the lenses were actually very nice. I remember being super stoked on them. When they came out, I was so into the Samsung cameras, and then I don't know. I'd like to see you guys check them out now.
If anyone's got one, please, we'd love to do a retrospective on it.
But you may or may not get it back. Probably not. If you send us your NX1 to review and then you say, hey, can I have that back? We'll just send LOL.
I am, you got me intrigued on it. I'm going to look into it myself.
There's got to be some camera somewhere hidden waiting.
Max Yuryev's got one somewhere. Yeah.
Great. Well, I appreciate that, Blake. You answered a lot of questions for us, and eager to get our hands on the actual phone. Go test.
Tomorrow we get it. We're going to go shoot the hell out of it. It's going to be great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks for joining us.
No, I appreciate it.
So that was great. We got to chat with Blake there for about half an hour, get a lot of your questions answered. We don't have the typical format this week where we're going to do the comments. Check.
There's no space for a laptop to have questions.
There's just going to be that many more comments.
Yeah, I know there's more. They're all there. I apologize again. We'll get to them next week. But before we go, I do want to bring one thing up because Chris wanted me to talk about it. This morning, I borrowed some of Chris's hair
stuff.
It's not a gel. It's a fiber cream.
Fiber paste.
And so
cement.
We thought that this... we thought that this would be a good time to actually answer a question that has been asked over and over again, and Chris has ignored it till now, which is shocking.
I've answered.
Never answered it before.
No, I answered
not one time.
YouTube all the time, but
there's always new viewers coming in, and they're like, "How in the hell?"
Hair stuff.
So what's interesting about this is if you look at Chris's hair,
yes,
and my hair, this is the same hair product.
I have like Asian steel cable hair.
It is so. It's fascinating to me how different it lays on him than me.
Yeah, because you have beautiful soft
hair, and you're.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it looks great on you.
At any rate, I like it. I think I might buy this.
It smells good.
It does smell good.
And it feels good. And
so,
your hair looks, and you can just put more water.
Okay, this is not an ad.
L'Oreal has
so our new sponsor, our new sponsor on the podcast will shortly be L'Oreal 24-hour Remix.
But only if they give us Canadian pricing.
Yeah, exactly. You will save $650.
So it's what? L'Oreal what?
L'Oreal 24-hour Remix.
Okay, I gotta go to I gotta get some actually.
Buddy, it's out there.
No one is gonna believe this isn't an ad.
I've been using it for over a decade. This is an honest.
It's not an ad.
He tried it this morning. He's like, "This is the greatest."
Do like
put
it
in my hair.
Yeah,
and he's put a lot of different stuff in his hair. So
on that note, this slightly shorter podcast, we're gonna end it there. Thank you for joining us.
Leave your comments. We still will get to that, even though we're gonna have a mountain of comments to answer. We will absolutely get your comments. So any questions you have about the phone or anything else or hair products, definitely leave those.
Thank you so much, guys. We'll catch you next week.
I'm gonna say bye on Blake's.
Bye. Bye, cameras. The straight poop? The straight poop. Jeez.